Howdy. MLA, thanks for showing up. I feel like I'm slouching. Sup? How are you? Exist. Long time. Are you continuing to exist? It appears as though you are. MLA, it's been a minute. It has been a minute. Been a lot going on. It's been kind of a crazy summer, really. But yeah, the last stream was over 2 weeks ago. It wasn't last week. I don't think it was even week before. Yeah, we've been traveling a little bit. Been out of town. Went to Virginia Beach and went up north to the northern part of the state and kind of relaxed up there. Oh yeah, the SM. Oh, it's for sure. It's nice. Yeah, I'm sure you're loving every minute of that. I know these little Rode mics. These Rode Pod mics. These little suckers do good, man. I couldn't believe when I pulled them out of the box. I couldn't believe how heavy they were. I thought somebody put a brick in the box. But yeah, they're nice little mics. The Rode and Shure make good, decent equipment. Decent, I say. Decent even. The past few weeks, to answer your question, MLA, it's been kind of crazy. I'll go into a little bit of it today, kind of explain kind of where I've been at and what's been up, and that I haven't just been derelict in my duties. And for $100 Exist, I mean, literally, I'd say one of the cheapest mics for the quality you get on the market. I mean, if you can find them. And I think that was what you and I discussed at the time is, these things are great, but they're just super hard to find. They're always sold out. So, yeah, let's see. I think we probably should just tell the story of the past few years first and then get into what's actually been going on the past couple weeks to kind of help bring everybody up to speed on everything, because it's not been fun. And there's still a lot of unknown at the moment, and I'm using a lot of cryptic language. You guys don't know what's going on. And I apologize. Soon you will understand. And that's partly what's driving today's subject, this idea of justice or righteousness. And I'm curious to get everyone's viewpoint on the topic. And I specifically say justice or righteousness for a reason. And I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit, but it stems in this belief or understanding that I have that I don't know that you can separate I think most people separate the two. I doubt that many correctly combine the two. And I'm sure as we get down this rabbit hole, that'll be clearer to you what I'm getting at and what I'm trying to state. As many of you probably already know, and those who I'm sure will pop in here as the topic goes on, and I'll have to repeat myself 4,000 times, but I live in America, in Michigan, but I am not an American citizen. I'm Canadian. And I've been in America now 11 years, give or take. And I originally came here on a student visa, which is a very limited visa. You can't work, you can't do anything but go to school. And I finished my student visa after getting my degree. And when I finished that student visa, I applied for and got an additional 1-year visa for a working permit. That permit allowed me to work in the field with which I had studied. In my particular case, I was a biblical studies major, so when I got out of school, I started this organization, Rise Above, which is a religiously affiliated organization. Although if you were to come here, you wouldn't overtly know that we are a religious entity in the sense that it doesn't feel like church. It doesn't feel like a ministry of any sort. I am an ordained minister. Hey, thanks for the follow. Little green man. Appreciate it. Thanks for popping in and being part of the gym. The reality of that is that was a 1-year visa, and to go beyond that, I'd have to then get a different type of visa. So that's what we did. We applied for and received a 2-year R1 visa, it's called here in the United States. And an R1 visa allows me to basically be an ordained minister, a fellow of the cloth, a church member, of which I am. I'm a ordained minister of the Free Methodist Church. And again, I don't preach. I don't do the regular church pastor stuff. We do this thing called Rise Above, where we help these kids that are in really crappy situations get back to school and get their lives back together. And I have some amazing stories to share with you today because it's been a lot of fun. We've one thing COVID has done for us is it's given us an opportunity to reconnect with some former students, which has been a lot of fun and brought about a lot of joy to hear the stories of overcoming, so to speak, that has taken place. So I go at, anyways, back to the visa thing. I get on my first 2-year visa, and my understanding is that I was allowed to renew that visa twice. So for a total of 6 years. 2 years for the first one, a renewal, 2 years for the second one, a renewal, and 2 years for the next one. So 6 years total. The reality is, so my visa expires the end of every August, which is coming up here in 6 days. I got talking to my lawyer, because we don't do this stuff on our own. We pay a very expensive lawyer to do all of our paperwork my camera feels like it's not right. There it goes. To do all of this paperwork for us, because we want to make sure it's done correctly, and we don't want to mess things up and whatnot. The reality is, I was talking to my lawyer at the beginning of the month, and he was using language that was kind of like, well, maybe, and well, if, and well, we don't know. And I'm like, what do you? And I said, I'm not a fearful man. And I said, but the language you're using is kind of scaring me because, you're talking about that I might not get a visa renewal. And I'm kind of concerned by that. Like, why wouldn't I? And I said, I do have another renewal left, right? We've only talked about this several times over the past 5 years. And he flat out says, no, you don't have another renewal. That is literally the first time. So here I am, but a couple of weeks away from my visa expiring. And for the first time in a number of years, my lawyer has just told me that I may not be allowed to stay in this country. That in a couple of days, I may be politely asked to leave by the federal government. Me and my entire family. Oof. The reality there is very scary. The obvious immediate loss of income for my family, with a student in university and another young son at home, a wife that does not work and has not worked for 11 years because the visa does not allow her to work in America. The prospect of going back home to Canada and finding a job quickly that will sustain my family during that transition is daunting at best. The reality of even finding a home. So I won't speak for anywhere else in the country, but in Michigan right now, finding even a rental property is just about impossible, particularly that one that is, good, healthy, without dysfunction, mold, and any other thing wrong with it. In Ontario is the same way, where I'm from, where my family is. So let's not just be all doom and gloom. There is light. in this tunnel. Where it is, we're not sure. We're looking for it. The light is this. So there's two things I need to explain. The first is we have already started the green card process. Before COVID hit, back in November of 2019, the lawyer and I had applied for a green card for my family and I to stay permanently. Because a visa is a temporary residency. A green card is a permanent residency within the United States. And so we'd applied for this. Now, COVID obviously backs everything up because government workers are off and the application process are way behind and yada, yada, yada. So we have not heard any information back yet about whether we can apply for the green card or not. So because the steps for a green card are complicated and not easy. You have to ask the government for permission to apply for a green card, and it's a very expensive ask. It's several $1,000s. Pardon me. And we have not heard the answer back of whether we're allowed to apply or not. Now, if we were to hear tomorrow, hey, yes, you can apply for the green card, that's great. I mean, because then it legally allows us to stay in the country while we wait for that green card process to finish. The one thing it doesn't do, answer it doesn't solve, though, is the working part. It does not allow me to work. It allows me to stay until the green card is resolved and we get it. What would then have to happen if we got that thumbs up on the green card process is we would then have to apply for what's called a work authorization permit. And that, unfortunately, is not a quick process either. That's, pardon me, several weeks, actually. I'd say that the average is probably 6 to 8 weeks from the time you apply for that till the time you actually get the authorization in the mail. So even if today I got that letter from the green card USCIS saying, hey, your green card application has been, the request has been approved, you may go ahead with the green card process. Even if I got that letter, we're still months away from having a financial resource to see my family through. So you ask, well, where's the light in that? There is another thing. So when I applied for my last green card, we applied in September, and we did not. We applied for the card, and we did not get an answer for over a year on the visa renewal, which was really odd, but we got it. And we happened to be, my mother-in-law happened to have passed away, and we were out of the country when we got it. So our visa card expired, and we were out of the country. And when we were out of the country, we got the letter saying, hey, your visa's been approved, and you're good to go. Well, when I got the approval letter, the approval was for the date I got the letter in the mail, which was August 31st. That's why we're applying. That's why it expires now. When in fact, the approval, based on the paperwork that came with it, said that it was approved actually almost 11 months before in September. So we were kind of short at 11 months of our 2-year visa. And so what our lawyer is doing now in this moment of delay for the green card is asking for USCIS to grant us the recuperation of that 11 months, saying basically that my wife and I and my family were denied the ability to actively use those 11 months as they should have been because we were out of the country. So if that gets approved, then that does allow me to continue to work. And there's no interruption and those sorts of things in pay and whatnot. And so that is the best case scenario, that they come back and they say, yep, there's been an injustice here. You should have been given those 11 months. You were shorted that. And here, your visa is now good until next July. The beauty of that is it would give the green card process time to take effect. For a yes or no on that to come in and give, honestly, my family more time to make a realization of, hey, we're staying or hey, we're going. But there's another thing. So that is that's not even 50-50. That's maybe 20-80 that'll happen. You know, it's not likely that they're going to, USCIS is not friendly to us in any way. Historically, I mean, I'm praying that changes and that, you know, they come back and they go, oh yes, this is a terrible mistake in here. Let's give your time back. The reality is that's probably not going to happen. I just happened to be golfing in a tournament for my alma mater, Spring Arbor University, a week and a half ago. They have their annual golf outing to raise money for students who need financial assistance. And I was there on invitation golfing. And while I was there, I happened to bump into a congressman that I know, a federal congressman that I know for the state of Michigan. And I almost didn't recognize him because he had a mask on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Tim. And so I kind of cornered him for a second. I said, I literally have an emergency. I need your help. I need you to step into the gap for me, you and your office. And Tim, without hesitation, was like, oh my gosh, yes, you need to absolutely call my office today. And let me help you expedite your green card to get this resolved. And while doing that, the president of the university, Brent Ellis, who is an amazing man, has been a tremendous advocate for me and for Rise Above.
Okay.
Thanks, Diablo.
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Fun stream last night, by the way, buddy. You did awesome. Oh, you know Tim Warburg? Inoculant? Yeah. So Tim said absolutely, but while I'm talking to Tim, Brent walks up and says to Tim, oh, Tim, you know this guy? He's speaking of me, and proceeds to go on unsolicited to go on about how great he finds our organization and what a blessing he finds my family and I to our community and whatnot, which was very humbling for one, because it's not often you get to hear somebody say such nice things, particularly somebody of his respect in the community. He's a tremendously well-respected man. Diablo, buddy, thank you for 12 freaking months, man. So thankful for your inclusion in this this joyride that is Risk Immersed. Hey, Scarlett, how are you, kiddo? And so, needless to say, I worked feverishly with Tim Warburg and his crew last week to put together an impassioned plea to the feds to say, please don't kick Neil Fernandez and his family out.
Okay. Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Scarlett, welcome to the gym. Diablo, thank you for the gifted sub to Scarlett Heathers. Amazing. And Scarlett, I heard something amazing that might have happened to you last week. I mean, I'm seeing a little bit of a check mark beside your name. I'm not sure quite what that means. Can you please tell me what that little purple check mark means? Because that's for terror streamers. You're washed up, kid. Get out. That's awesome. That's so good. Congratulations, Scarlett. I think that's awesome that you finally, much deservedly, the effort that you put in. I think it's fitting that you have it, but upsetting that it took so damn long for you to get it. Congratulations, kiddo. I'm so proud of you. You absolutely deserve all of that and more. I hope it radically changes your ability to stream in ways that I know that you want to, and I hope it radically helps you with your income. I hope you do well as a result. You're one of the best out there. You're one of the most consistent out there, and you're always a joy to watch. I wish I had more time to catch your streams. Just the timing, unfortunately, doesn't match up always with my lifestyle. My schedule is what I mean. But yes, I very much appreciate you always have. And it doesn't surprise me that all my friends just happen to also be all your friends. So I'm in this really precarious position. And Delby, I don't know if you've heard this yet or not, but I'm actually on the cusp. My family and I are on the cusp of being asked to leave the United States due to an immigration issue if something dramatic isn't done. So there's been a dramatic timing error made by and through COVID that has really screwed up my immigration visa and green card process. And we are quickly running out of time to make it work. So literally the end of the month, the end of August. So we're trying to figure out what to do, and this is why I'm talking about our federal representative here that I know. What's up? How are you, Tribal? Thanks for joining, buddy. So yeah, we're working feverishly right now to try and figure out what to do next. Yeah, honestly, I'm good. I feel great. I look great. I think I look pretty damn good. Yeah, just a little bit of stress right now in the life. That's all. Where would you look fantastic as always? Thanks, buddy. Where would you have to go, Scarlett? That's a good question. So there's a lot of things I want to say here, but I for various reasons or another, I'm not going to say. The reality is, the answer to that, Scarlett, is I have to go home. I would have to pack my family up and leave the country, abandon my home, my ministry, the nonprofit, my students, my staff, and it could literally be catastrophic. I'll reiterate a little bit of what I was saying before, in that if the full iteration of this happens, I literally have 30 days to pack up my crap and go. Tribal, I'll explain a bit here in a second. Am I moving? Hopefully, no. The reality is I might need to. If at the end of the month this is not resolved in some form or fashion, or if some form of arbitration is not taking place on my behalf, legally I have 30 days to get out of the country before a legal process starts to basically make me a criminal in my family. What's the penalty to overstay? Well, really the penalty is just they pick you up and they kick you out. There really is no criminal penalty in the sense that they lock you up. They just bust you out. The penalty really is if I ever want to come back, So yeah, big deal. They send me back home to Canada. It's not like I didn't spend, 38 years there before. But the reality is I want to come back. I want to continue to be a part of Rise Above if indeed we have to leave the country. I want to be a part of this organization long into the future, and to ensure that my staff and my students and my community that I've come to love continues to have this amazing resource. So the tragedy in this is it's not like we're scared to go back home. Obviously, we're not scared to get booted back to our home. It's where we, grew up, for crying out loud. But the scary part is it's the season we're in. Finding a job right now would be pretty damn near impossible for me. And because we've been out of the country so long, unemployment is not a thing. You can't apply for it because I haven't had a job there in 11 years. So it's not like I can go back to Canada and just go, okay, I'll just go on unemployment until I find a job. Well, no, that you can't legally. We have not been part of that economic system for quite some time. No, it doesn't work that way for nonprofits, unfortunately. They're very distinct. For a nonprofit and fundraising and all that kind of stuff to work, Tribal, You actually have to apply to each state and or country for nonprofit status and for the ability to actually solicit funds. So even though I'm in Michigan, I can't receipt somebody for a gift from Ohio. Now, somebody in Ohio can give to us, but I can't actively solicit. Yeah, we're a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit tribal. I can't actively solicit somebody from another state unless I have credentialing in that state to solicit funds. Yeah, absolutely inoculant. I believe it is as well. And so that honestly, that's my biggest fear, is finding work and being able to feed my family and care for my family. The other thing is obviously finding a residence. Right now in Michigan and in Ontario, where I'd be moving to if I had to, there's just no houses. There's nothing. There's nothing to rent. I wouldn't even have the income to validate to a rentor or to a bank to say, hey, yes, I can afford to buy this home, or hey, I can afford to rent this home, because most renters need to see some validation of income, right? And then if I have to provide first and last month's rent or anything like that, and, anything like that. Again, I've been out of the country for 11 years. It really puts me, this really puts me in a conundrum. So basically what's happening now is my lawyer, like I said, is submitting a letter asking to recoup the 11 months that we missed or we lost due to a timing issue on the visa that we're currently on because of whatever USCIS did at the beginning. I don't even know. I don't think they know. And again, I don't mean that to be ignorant. I just don't think they know. Because it's just a bureaucratic agency. They stamp and away you go, right? They don't really understand hand to hand what each is doing. So hopefully that 11 months gets recouped. That gives us time to go through the green card process and to continue to work and earn an income. But there is a reality there that probably, if I don't have to leave, if that doesn't happen, if I don't leave immediately, it will be within a very short period of time that we'll have to get there. So that kind of leads us into this topic for today, this idea of justice and righteousness. Absolutely, tribal. Now, having said that, Canada, I can do all the things in Canada that I can do here.
Everything's great.
Only thing that changes is magazine size.
Is awesome.
So, what's up, Andy? No, it's not, but we're figuring it out, bro. Thank you for the 11 months. You're a rock star for continuing to support the gym, buddy. The firearm stream will still be a thing. So the question for today was really, what is justice and righteousness? And when I say those things, if I say to you, what do you prefer, justice or righteousness? What is the initial thing, the connotation to each of those? What comes to your mind? So if I say to you, are you a person of justice or are you a person of righteousness? What is your initial thought on that? For you, I should say for you. And why do you think that you're one or the other? Because I think there is an answer that is somewhat bridging to both. But it's a difficult bridge to cross, and I'm curious to see what everyone's response. Well, again, so you ask a valid question, Andy. What is righteousness? Righteousness can be a lot of things to a lot of people. It depends on your perspective. So if you've got somebody that has a spiritual background, like I tend to look at, right? What? Again, inoculant. Can you? I'm asking you. I believe that you can. I say to you, it's a difficult bridge to cross. So righteousness, Andy, to me, is this. It's a state of mind, right? So I've got some notes here, so I'm just going to pull it over so that I can read my notes, because I've honestly been thinking about this a lot. My wife and I particularly have been talking about it quite a bit in context of Rise Above, and what it is that we're trying to achieve. Are we trying to achieve justice for these kids? Are we trying to bring them to, so righteousness for us it's more about morality. But again, you have to ask the question, what is morality? What is moral? And who decides? So if you say something is right or wrong, and we've talked about this on stream before, if we've talked about right or wrong, you have to assume a judge. You have to assume that somebody is then the decider of what is right or wrong, and who gets to decide who the decider is. Oh, thank you. Salmon. Salmon makes me feel special. I like salmon. Makes my eyes pop. So this idea of righteousness, scripturally or biblically, typically the word is upright that we use, right? So when we talk about somebody being upright and keeping to the faith, it could be keeping to the law, keeping to the whatever that thing is, they tend to say that person is righteous or upright. So if you want to donate to Neil, specifically to me, that's the Firearms Channel correct statement. But don't worry about that, Diablo. I appreciate you even asking that question, bro. But I honestly, I'm more concerned with this building and these students. So let me on the conversation of justice and righteousness. One of the amazing things that's happened over the past couple of weeks is I have had several students reach out to me that we haven't spoken to in a long time. One of these young men that reached out to me now lives in Ohio and is not in a great location. Extremely entrepreneurial young man, to say the least. And he worked closely with me like no student has in the past. There's one other that comes pretty close, but this young man is still right up there, like just will do well with his life if he finds focus. And he lost both of his grandparents within the span of like a week and a half. And he happened to be in town because they live in the community that I'm in here. And while he was in town, again, I haven't spoken to this young man in almost a year and a half. While he was in town, he reached out to me, texted me, said, "Hey, Mr. Fernandez, how are you, sir?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, where are you at? How do I come and see you?" And he says, "Oh, I'll be in town. I really miss you guys. I'm just curious if I can stop by." And it just, almost makes you want to cry even now just saying it, And I'm like, "Absolutely, dude." I said, "Here's my address. Come to my house, And listen to what I'm going to say to you now. This young man comes to my house. I haven't seen him in a year and a half. And listen to what he wants me to say. He sits down on my couch, facing me, because I have like not a sectional, but two couches that kind of sit in an L shape. And he's sitting there facing me, and I'm ready to tell him everything that's going on and how much I've missed him and everything else. And this young man, 19 years old now, stops me, looks at me, and he says this to me. "Mr. Fernandez, tell me something good." Did you hear what I said to you? When he was here, don't worry about it, Diablo. I appreciate you, buddy. When he was here, just give it to Rise Above, bud. Don't worry about it. If you're so inclined, bless us all, not just me. When he was here, this young man was connected not because he was getting an academic whatever, not because he was getting counseling, but because he felt as though we were giving him something good. I can tell you that every day that young man was here, I held him accountable for everything that he did and did not do. It was not easy for this young man to be here. He spent a lot of quality time with me, to say the least. I pushed him hard, as I do all of the students. I'm just speaking of him specifically. And after a year and a half of not seeing me, not talking to me, nothing, this young man sits on my couch and he says to me, Neil, tell me something good. Blows my mind. I mean, my first reaction would be with righteousness is based on your personal perspective, because righteousness can be imposed on another, cannot be imposed on another. Yet justice is more of a community-based perspective. And would you agree then that justice has to be in some way, form, or fashion punitive? In that, what I mean by justice is that when you do something that is not within the scope of what the rules are, what the law is, that there has to be some form of punishment or retribution. That old eye for an eye, take it to the extreme of the death penalty. And you're absolutely right, Andy. It's not. None of this has been easy today so far. Guys, if there's anything, and I've said this before, if there's anything about me, I am a man who is in control. My whole life, I have held fast to the belief that if it's got to be, it's up to me. And I don't claim that quote. I don't remember where it came from, but do not worry, Diablo. Forget about it. And for one of the very few times in my life, here I sit, completely and utterly out of control. I literally have no say in my destiny as we sit here and speak. Not just my destiny, but my family's destiny, my family's ability to earn an income, to house itself, for my staff, the staff that I have working here, for my students. I have no ability now to influence anything. I am utterly and completely dependent on those with whom I am under authority of. And that is difficult for me. I am I'm a strong person. And I don't mean physically. I mean, it's true. I can move a lot of steel around. But the reality is I am a mentally assertive person. I hear it all the time, that I have to be careful when I have staff meetings, because I can be overly assertive and I can almost intimidate people into opposing me, which is a bad thing. I want people to have differing opinions of me, and guys, I hope you understand, I'm being transparent right now, extremely transparent right now, because it's important. And so I've got to remind myself, and others remind me, thankfully, i.e. my wife, regularly, that I have to be careful because I'm an imposing figure in meetings. I'm extremely assertive, and I intimidate people, and I'm not afraid of anybody. And here I am in a situation where I have nothing. Yeah. I would say it sometimes requires punitive actions, but in the case of biblical justice, it may not. I want to talk about that. The law is the law, but not every law is equally valid written, if you know what I mean. Also on punishment, death sentence, look at Europe, how that we are doing jail time, etc. We don't have private jails. Private jails, really. Yeah. Crazy, I know. Yeah, my life's existence right now is to keep people out of jail. Everything we do and say on a daily basis. This stream, honestly, is to help people stay in a state of mind that keeps them out of trouble. So biblically, justice is huge in Opulent. Everything about the Old Testament is about A, the law of Moses, and B, about the wrath, i.e. the justice of Father God, right? The God, Yahweh, as Hebrews refer to. The whole Old Testament is about the judgment or the coming judgment of God, to answer your question. The New Testament, when Jesus comes into the picture, from that point on, it's less about the judgment of God, although it's still there, and more about the forgiveness of God.
Dingleberry McGee.
Everything's great.
Thanks for joining the gym again,
Everything
buddy.
is
10 whole
awesome.
stinking months. Appreciate you. And Dingle, and to the others, and you know who you are, thank you for the phone calls over the weekend and helping me digest and think through all this stuff and being a true friend during these difficult days. Appreciate you. But when the New Testament comes in, the law doesn't change. It doesn't. What Jesus doesn't abolish the law. What he does is he changes how our interaction with that law takes place. Right? We're changed. Morg me. What's up, kiddo? Are you working? Morg? In tribal, so the law is the law. So what I go to when we talk about the law is I always ask the question, where does the law come from? What's up, pound sign? Where does the law come from? Who gives you that law? And who decides that that law is just? So now we have to talk about just laws, right? So, because there are lots of laws. I mean, we can point to laws from the early 1900s that were, some would say, are extremely unjust. I work part-time to make money. I just didn't know if you were hiding in a bathroom again. I was trying to, give you an out. It's good to see you, Morg me. Because I agree that laws are laws, and it's written in black and white, but even laws are interpreted. That's why we have a Supreme Court, right? To be the final law of holy crap.
Oh my God. What a great day.
Diablo. Thank you, buddy. You're heckin' crazy, man. You found a way. Thank you, Diablo. You are freaking insane, man. You know what? A lot of people use this term flippantly, but I love you guys, man. You guys are absolutely freaking amazing. You never cease to amaze me in any form or fashion. Whether it's here in the serious conversations we have, or whether it's on the other streams where we just kind of goof around and have fun and whatnot. Watch Andy try and eat rotten fish. That was the funniest thing ever, Andy. You guys just continue to blow my mind.
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Welcome back to the gym, Morg Meme. And Diablo, thank you for gifting Morg Meme a sub. Like you said, laws may be written, but not all laws are enforceable and shouldn't be enforceable because of how they are written or just because they are against a certain group of people. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting, And I'm not necessarily saying that I'm not necessarily talking about social justice, right? So there are different types of justice, right? So, somebody started the hype train. Bad timing. Level 5, 157%. Andrew Dunn, thank you for playing the game. I think the The that's so funny. I think that the confusion nowadays is people tend to be straight at level 5, get her done. I think that a lot of people, because of the system that we're in now of conversation, particularly being in America, being a election year, social justice is always a huge thing in election years, right? But we forget about criminal justice. We forget about all the other, right now I'm really talking about moral justice in those sorts of things. And, when you get a situation, so I had a conversation, as I do every Monday before my stream. So Morgan, we're talking about my visa situation currently, and is that, and I'm using it in the light of our situation and in the good that I believe that we're doing in this community. Is it just that the law be followed at the moment? So this is where I'm going with this. Is it just that I follow the law when my visa expires and I leave the country? Or is my call to righteousness surpass the justice system and say that my moral obligation, my call to righteousness, to help those who need help, outweigh my legal obligation to leave? Is my obligation to ensure that the staff people that are here continue to have employment, that my students continue to have an outlet? That's why I like you, Morg. Where is that line drawn? Like, where do I, as the gentleman said this morning that I met with, and I have met with for literally 6 years, every Monday morning for 6 years. I'll just tell you plainly what he said. If this was on Trump's desk, he firmly believes that this would be in the news nationally. The downright atrocious nature of what's about to happen from an immigration standpoint. Now, I don't want to have a big immigration debate. I don't want to get into that. But his point was the absolute ridiculousness that I am about to be and my family are about to be thrown out of the country on our ass, pardon the expression, with no perspectives of housing and or employment is utterly ridiculous. Mr. Poundstein, you said, for me, determining what is just is about minimizing harm so it does not change over time as we gain insight into what harms our laws. So that is my point, Mr. Poundstein. Determining what is just is about minimizing harm. So in this, what you said is almost the exact antithesis of what I'm trying to explain in this situation. So is it just that the law says, hey, on this date, you need to leave? I mean, that's what I signed up for, right? Legally, that's what, when I signed that paper, they said, you have 2 years. But I mean, there is a social obligation that I currently have. There's a financial obligation that I currently have. Again, I know I've used some of these metrics before on the stream and said that, Rise Above as an entity costs our community about $300,000 a year to run this program. That's a fairly inexpensive organization to run. When you think, if any of you have ever had, and Morg, I'll come back to your question about how the kiddos are doing. When you think about how many students we work with, the staff that we have, the facilities we have, and everything else, but $300,000 is pretty inexpensive. The reality is, for every student that we keep out of the legal system, we save our community at least $100,000 a year. at least. In the past 5 years, we're now in our sixth year of Rise Above. We have easily saved our community $5 to $7, it's a conservative number, $5 to $7 million in recidivism fees. And I'm seeing the comments. I'll come back to your comments in 2 seconds here. I just want to get this thought out. So from a financial standpoint, I mean, we're doing the right thing.
Oh my God. What a great day.
Thank you, Morgmean, for the bits. You're a rock star, kiddo. Not to mention, that's just the financial, right? So it's cost our community. So even at the max end, say it was $300,000 every year, it wasn't. The first year was like $150,000. But so 3, 6, right? Do the math on that.
Thanks, dude.
Morgmean, stop.
Oh my God. What a great day.
Thank you, Morgmean. But you need to save your bits, kiddo. You're a rock star. So from a social standpoint, now let's talk about the kids that we've helped. And this young man that sits on my couch and says, Mr. Fernandez, tell me something good. I can't tell. I had a young man who's now in Georgia, who was he was our first gun student. First student that I brought into Rise Above very nervously, who brought a loaded .45 to school. And
Thanks,
20 ad biddies.
Oh my God. What a great day.
And I remember having a lot of hard conversations with this kid. And he was one of our first students. So he called me the other day and he's like, Mr. Fernandez, you need to know I am long-time relationship with a girl. I have a baby on the way. I've got a job. I got my own place. Things are going good, you know? And again, there's a kid that if we hadn't have been there, I'm telling you, he'd be in the gang. He'd be dead. And again, you guys knew about one of our students just a couple weeks ago, just got murdered. Drive-by shooting. It happens. I'm in a city where that happens every day. What is the justice versus righteousness conversation that needs to happen about whether I stay or go? At what point do we push back to say, no, I'm not okay with this? So let's go back. I don't think mine will be a popular opinion, but this is it. I would say go back to Canada, reapply for a visa if this is possible. It's not possible. And come back later. If you choose to stay, you might never be able to come back. And the answer to that is yes, I absolutely would never be allowed to come back. So for in the long run, it's better to go back temporarily and come back later if you can come back at all. The answer to that is, Tribal, the only way to come back is if my green card application gets approved. So a lot of you weren't here at the very beginning when MLA and I were talking about this. So I'll step back one step so the rest of you can hear the whole legal conundrum that I'm currently in. But I want to get through this chat a little bit here first. I would say your work to benefit the community should absolutely fall under special exemption if there is a provision of law, and there is a provision under the law. Let's see here, Pamson. I mean, I don't know you. I know what you do and spoke with you in the stream a long time ago. From what I know of you, your efforts are huge and net positive. So, yeah, okay, makes sense. Okay, so here's the legal immigration conundrum I'm in. Currently on a visa. When I originally completed school, I did my 1-year student work visa. Once that visa was completed, I then started a 2-year R1 visa, which is technically not technically, it is a religious worker visa because I'm an ordained minister. Although I don't do church, I do a nonprofit. It's hard to explain, but that's what I'm on. When I initially got that R1 visa, my lawyer said to me, you have 2 renewals. I know this. I know we had this conversation. And I'm sure I can, if I go through my emails, I can even find an email where he says you have 2 renewals. Which means after my 2 years is up, I get to renew my visa if I choose to. Assuming I'm still doing the same thing and nothing's changed and status quo, blah, 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 I can renew the visa. So I've done that one time. I'm at the point now where I'm in my mind thinking, okay, I'm about to do my second renewal, this month. Well, back last November, knowing and believing, okay, now we're going to stay here because a visa is a temporary residency, it's called. Whereas a green card is a permanent residency and is the next step towards citizenship, typically. Some people go right to citizenship. That's not the path that we're choosing at this point because that is we're not sure what we're doing yet. So the green card was started last November. Then COVID hit. So that pushed what normally is a 6 to 8 month process. Now we're, almost a year into it, and there's still no light in the tunnel with regards to getting that process started. So for the way green cards work is you apply for a green card, and then you don't apply for a green card. You ask permission to apply for a green card, if that makes sense. So my application to apply is in. They go through the application. They look at the criteria that you need to be a green card recipient, and they look at your application. They say, yes, you meet all the criteria, or no, you don't. And then they give you the green light or the red light to say, yes, you can apply for a green card or start the green card process. Or they say, no, you don't meet the criteria, get out. Or no, you can't apply for a green card. So that's the space we're in right now. We're waiting for them to get back and say, yes, green light, go ahead and start the green card process. Pardon me. We don't know when we're going to get that answer. My visa expires this month. COVID pushed out that answer on the green card further than we knew would happen back in November because, again, COVID hadn't happened. But because of COVID, everyone gets laid off, no government workers, you know how that has happened. Hey, Crashing, what's going on? So now I'm going to my lawyer saying to the lawyer, hey, it really looks like the green card's not going to happen. Let's just do the second visa renewal and go from there. And as I'm talking about that, my lawyer is like, well, he's using very negative language about the visa. And I'm like, wait a second. I said, I'm not a fearful guy, but you're kind of scaring me with this. You're not sure about the visa thing. Why are you not sure about the visa? We've never had a problem with getting the visa before. Why we suddenly got a problem with the visa? And he says, well, you don't have another renewal. I'm like, what are you talking about? For the past 5 years, all we've talked about is this 2 visa renewals. And he goes, no, you've already had the 2 visa renewals. I'm like, no, I haven't. I've only renewed once. Well, his language he was using was the 2 visas. So the original one and the other one. Not 2 visa renewals. I had 2 visas. So he was miscommunicating. He used the wrong word. So now I'm like, oh, crap. I don't have 2 visa renewals, and I am 3 weeks away from the end of my visa, where I thought I was safe. I'm not. I have nothing. And now I have 3 weeks in a process that takes months and months and months just to get a response. I have 3 weeks to figure this out. So when I got my last visa, when I got the visa renewal, I got the letter in August. No, I can't. No, there's no other visa that I am qualified to get. When I got my visa, I was actually out of the country because my mother-in-law had passed away. My wife's mom had passed away. And so I was there for the funeral and other things. And that's when my visa renewal had come in. But when I got the visa, that was in August, this time of year. That was in August. And when I got it, it was dated for August as the acceptance point. But it was actually approved 11 months previous. So there was almost a 1-year gap between when they approved it and when I actually got it. So, and they put the expiration date on the date that I got it. So I actually, on a 2-year visa, I actually lost 11 months of that visa. So I spent all the money for a full visa, thousands of dollars, but only got a year and a bit of it. And so what my lawyer is currently doing is drafting up a package to submit to USCIS to say, hey, you kind of gypped this guy. You should give him his 11 months back, with the hopes that they'll say, yes, we did gyp you of that 11 months. Here, go ahead and stay, continue to work on this visa for another 11 months. And while in the process of doing that, then hopefully the green card process will happen and I'll get that work authorization through that. The reality is I don't think that's going to happen. They're not, I just got to be honest, they're not friendly people. I can tell you stories. I know some of you have already heard the stories about how literally my life was threatened by a border agent for no reason at all. So I'm not confident that that is going to get approved. So to get back to your question earlier about tribal, about the visa, and no, I don't have another visa I can get on, but if I have to leave, what's likely to happen, as long as I leave on time, if I don't overstay my visa, as long as I leave on time, when my green card gets approved, I'll be able to come back. When that gets approved, I don't know. So here comes where a lot of you came in, with my conversation with the president of the university and the congressman from Michigan that I know, the federal congressman. So the congressman now, I saw him at the golf outing. I spoke to him privately about my situation, and he was like, oh my gosh, yes, you absolutely need to get in touch with the office here. Tribal, let me come back to your question. I don't think I quite understand what you're asking me. So this is where I'm at now. My hope is that the congressman, so he's doing two things. The first thing he's doing is he submitted a request to immigration saying, okay, what's the status of this guy's application? Come on, what's going on, basically. So we're waiting to hear back. We're hoping to hear on Friday. Hopefully we'll hear back this week. One of two things we'll hear from them. One is, we're waiting. This guy hasn't submitted all the documentation yet. We're waiting for him to give us whatever piece of paper that they need from me. We don't believe that's the case because I've submitted the application. I've heard nothing back requesting additional information, neither me or my lawyer. So what I suspect is going to happen, and that they're going to hear back, that the congressman is going to hear back, is that they're going to say, sorry, we're just backlogged because of COVID. We're just playing catch up on these applications. That is actually the best case scenario. Because if that's the case, then we can the congressman can submit a plea on my part to say, look, this is not his fault. This timing issue is out of his control. It wasn't a mistake that he made. It isn't because he hasn't given you proper paperwork that you've requested. This is purely COVID's fault, basically. If that's the case, my understanding from the congressman and from others is that they're actually being very generous with these cases. And they're saying that in many cases they are indeed expediting these situations. Okay, so tribal. But if you stay, your green card will never be approved. No. If I stay, my green card can still be approved, and they won't even know that I overstayed, honestly. Does that make it right? And this gets to my question of justice and righteousness. Morally, I do right. I try to do right. Right? I don't want to break the law. Because I've had people come to me, oh, Neil, come work for me. I'll pay you under the table. Yes, I get that. But morally, I'm not okay with that. Right? So yes, I can stay, and yes, I can still get my green card approved. And honestly, what we've talked about different scenarios. Again, it's a big bureaucracy, so the reality is their systems don't talk to each other, and they don't know unless somebody reports me. And here I'm telling you on stream that But the reality is, like, justice or righteousness, like, what do I do? Like, do I screw my family over entirely and have no guarantee of income, but have housing for some time? I'm not deleting nothing. It is what it is. Fate's not in my freaking control, you know? Or do I go home with maybe the prospect of getting a job, maybe the prospect of finding a home? You know, what do I do? Like, what? That's my question. Justice or righteousness? Do I
Oh my God. What a great
do
day.
I follow the letter of the law and do what the law states must happen, and then be at the mercy of the winds when I go home? Or do I do what is righteous and stand up for those with whom I have been fighting for the past 6 years? Right? Thank you for the bits, Crashing Adam. 500 bits, man. You guys are amazing today. I would trade you my U.S. citizenship for your Canadian, straight up. No take backs. Samesies. That's awesome. Perfect. High five. I'm all about it. Thank you, Crashing. 500 bits, man. Thank you very much for the amazing gift. Straight up, no tradesies. I don't know. That's a good one. I'd have to think about it, though. I would say to stay in is both justice and righteousness, because of the things out of your control. Doing the right thing. So that's a good question. Do the ends justify the means? You know, do so be humble for a second. You know, does it really matter? For those of you that don't know, my wife works intimately with the program here at Rise Above. She is here every day, doing the grunt work, honestly, of the program, day in and day out. Free, by the way. She does not get paid to do this work. She volunteers her time daily. Is it arrogant of me to think that we are that important, that if we leave, this organization is not going to succeed long term? I mean, there is a reality, organizational reality, that I don't believe we have the management infrastructure necessarily in place to guarantee the long-term success. Will it continue for a period of time before it finally struggles and runs out of cash? I do believe that will likely be the case right now, today. If I'd have known 8 months ago that I was going to be in this situation, that I didn't have a visa renewal, could I have adequately trained somebody to take over, particularly the financial obligations of the organization? I think so. I think we could have got there. I just don't know that we're necessarily there today. I know that Nick, who's been on stream several times, does an amazing job running this place. But he has not been involved in the behind-the-scenes legal stuff that I do, the tax stuff, all the financial. He's focused on the day-to-day operational stuff, right? So it's no fault of his. But I would say, let's see, you're Crashing Adam. Whatever happens, this will make you more adaptable. Nothing is truly under our control. So I know you'll come out of this way better. And, you know, we partly talked about that today in my morning meeting. There's always something good. Historically, when we go through great times of struggle, my wife and I, something great always comes out of it. Some amazing relationship comes out of it. Some amazing thing happens that goes, oh, that's why this all happened. You know, this is the blessing in the storm, so to speak. So, yeah, Crashing, I pray vehemently that is evident to us as quickly as possible, because this has been a struggle. Not going to lie. This is one of the hardest things that we've had to endure in a while. Travel, you make people. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So it's not possible to be remote workers from Canada for Rise Above until the green card issue is resolved. So this is a bit of a rainbow over the cloud, so to speak. COVID kind of gives me an out with my specific work. It doesn't answer the question of getting paid. It doesn't answer that question of housing. Your question, Diablo, answers the issue of how does Neil continue to fundraise and be an advocate for Rise Above. So COVID gives me an out in the sense that I can say to prospective donors and meeting attendees that due to COVID, from now and into the foreseeable future, we will only be doing phone calls or Skype meetings or Zoom or whatever the platform is that everyone uses, right? So we kind of have an out here that allows me to continue to function in the role. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow me to be paid for doing it, because that's the issue, guys. So if you, I'm okay with going home, I'm okay with staying, if whatever has to happen. The issue is what in either one of those situations, because of the immediacy of it, there's no time to resolve how does Neil feed his family, right? There's no time to wrangle that dinosaur to the ground to say, oh, this is how you do it. So, and I mean, we live modestly. Don't get me wrong. My home is paid for. I don't have an expense for my home that I have to worry about. I don't have rent or anything like that. I just have my taxes, my heat, and hydro. And I'm Canadian, so hydro means water to me, not electricity. Right? So taxes, food and water for us to live, and clothing. So, and this is the other thing. So, cries in debt. So, Maury, I hate that you said that, but the reality is I don't even have the ability to go into debt to do this. So it's not like I can just pull my credit card out and start paying for stuff. Because I am not a citizen of Canada, right? My credit is now trash in Canada because I haven't been there for 11 years. And because I'm not a citizen in America, I'm not allowed to establish my credit here. And so I don't have the ability to get a loan, a credit card, anything. I don't even have a mortgage. The house I bought was cash. I bought my house cash. It is the worst case scenario, guys. You need to fully understand my conundrum. Like I was talking before, like I can't even collect unemployment. So because I've been out of Canada for 11 years, I haven't worked in Canada for 11 years. And to collect unemployment, how it works is you pay into the system and they calculate how much unemployment you can get based on how much you've contributed over a certain number of years. And because I haven't been there for 11 years, there is no unemployment for me to collect in Canada should I go home. There's no social benefit that I can claim. And in America, because I'm not a citizen, a permanent resident, I can't claim unemployment here. All the social relief that you guys got because of COVID, we got none of that, my family. I didn't get any of the checks that you guys got, right? Whatever the $1,400 per person stuff that I know one guy that got like almost $5,000 for all of his family. Like that's crazy to me. We got none of that. So, and again, I'm the only income earner in my house. So it's not like we have huge reserves of savings to work off of. I mean, I do well. I do okay. I'm not starving. But I don't have a big, massive house, and I don't have millions of dollars in the bank. And It's a very unique situation, one that only an immigrant would face, to be honest with you. And I'm an immigrant. I'm an immigrant from Canada, but an immigrant nonetheless. And you know, tribal, I honestly, I could move to Europe. Portuguese citizenship. The situation is doo-doo to say the least, indeed, Morgme. Just convert your pay to Bitcoin, then you can travel with them safely. Yeah, true enough. Man. There are ways to do it. I know there's, you know. Yeah. Yes. I mean, Diablo, the goal is to not leave this country, right? Because that's what somebody else said, not here, but another conversation outside of the virtual world. Someone said, oh, at least if you have to leave the country, you can sell your home. But you need to remember that's an easy $150,000. Boom, done. 150 grand in the bank, we're good, you know? I could easily live in Canada on 150 grand American for several years. But the reality is I don't want to live in Canada. Remember, I'm hoping my green card comes through. And the last thing I want to do is to come back and have to buy another house. Yes, I have 150 grand that I live in every day that I could easily sell and turn into liquid cash that I can use to live. But the reality is I have a house that's paid for. It produces a whole nother set of problems later on. Get a houseboat and live on the Great Lakes. Yeah, maybe I can do that. At least then I can cross the border freely. Yeah, therein lies the other conundrum, right? Because of COVID, the borders, the North American border crossings are all closed. And they have been closed for quite some time. And the earliest date of opening looks like the end of September. So even if I cross the border and I get my green card tomorrow, or sometime early in September, I still can't come back for several weeks because of the COVID thing. So justice or righteousness, or both, is there a way to combine this into a formula that that doesn't create a conundrum for me that that puts me in an unreconcilable legal situation that both violates my ethics or my ability to stay in this country long term, because our goal is to stay here long term. We have no desire to go home to Canada. That is, we want to go home, but that home is 3 miles that way. Well, it's more than that, probably 6 miles. What about living in your closet, Morgme? Antarctica is not really a place I want to live, so unless you got a little micro furnace in your in your closet, I don't think I want to live in your closet. But you probably keep all your mucklucks and your parkas in there, so it probably would work out. Answer my question about the kiddos. Oh, yeah, you're right. I did not answer that. You are correct, young lady. Let's go back to your question. Where I want to answer it 100%, so I want to try and find it here. Where was your question, Morgan? Repost it. Now, are you talking about my kids or my students? My kids. So, biological. Yeah, so my oldest child, my daughter, is married. She has a green card. She is fine. She'll be good. My oldest son is a senior in university this year. As a matter of fact, he starts school today, his senior year, which is awesome. He is on his own visa for a student. It's called a F1 visa for students. The conundrum for him is that he is 20 years old, and the green card delay causes an issue for us. If the green card is not approved before he is 21, he will age out of my green card. Thank you, Inoculant. If he ages out of the green card application on ours, when he's done his student visa, they will, like every other student, they kick him out of the country. He's got to go back to Canada, which sucks. Here we have another situation where, because of the delay in the green card, I might have to send my son, my oldest son, back home to Canada and be the only one of my family not living with us in America. So that creates a huge problem for him. So there's a sense of urgency there of not wanting to lose my son to Canada, where he has no friends. He's been here for 11 years. He came here when he was 8 years old. So, I mean, he really has nothing in Canada to tie himself to. And he has a beautiful young girlfriend here that he's had and plans on being with a long time. So it would really ruin a lot of things for him unless he got married. And then, then he gets his own green card, citizenship and everything else. My youngest guy is 15. He has no problem aging out, but the challenge for him then turns into he's just entering the 10th grade, and, he would, again, here be uprooted from his school and have to jump into 10th grade at some strange school somewhere in Canada. So it would be it'd be hard. He's a great kid. Everyone loves him. He's actually been on stream with me a couple times. He makes friends fast, but just it would be not good. So yeah, that's the situation with my kids. I think the most dire situation was with my son, the oldest, the university issue and him aging out and having to go back alone to Canada, which would just absolutely suck for him. So yeah, it's just, honestly, Morgan, and I pardon the expression, but it is what it is. It's just the shittiest thing that could be. It is just the crappiest. Every crappy button has been pushed. All at once. Every button switch that has the word crap above it has been flicked and pushed. So we just don't know what to do. We are, as they say, at our wits' end with what to do next. And yeah, we literally are stuck. Literally are as stuck as I think that a family can be in an immigration system that is merciless. So, yeah, I mean, for those of you that are so inclined, please be praying for my family and the immigration process, that we would have favor. The best case scenario is that somebody of faith or somebody with a deep passion for doing the right thing. I'm not saying people that without faith don't have that passion, but they would understand the situation I'm coming from, I think, better if they had an understanding of a saving God, to step into this gap and to do what we believe is the right thing. And from what I hear from you folks, I believe that you see this as the right thing to do as well. So, yeah, best case scenario, the visa extension gets renewed. We recoup that 11 months. The green card gets approved. Congressman Wahlberg gets that expedited. We get our work authorization. Tickety-boo. Everything's great. We move on. Yeah. Thank you, Inoculant. I appreciate that. It's just not okay because things such as my student loans got pushed back because of the virus. Why not things like immigration? It's a great question, It is a great question. And not being political about anything at all, I get both sides of the story. When you've got 14 million people out of work, immigration is not a good thing in some situations, right? You want your 14 million people back to work. So I kind of get the philosophy behind not bringing immigrants in. This coming from an immigrant, you know, and my father was an immigrant before me, you know. So, I mean, truly we, even in Veronica's family, my wife's family, they're all immigrants as well into Canada, escaping Nazi Germany, or occupation from Nazi Germany in Holland. But at the same time, I don't know that I'm not a job stealer. I'm a job creator in the role that I'm playing here. I'm not working in a factory. I've created the factory, so to speak. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, I honestly, I don't know, Morg Meme. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because I've talked to a lot of people, stream people over the past week that have called me that have become aware of this situation. And we've talked about, I'll write letters and blah, blah, blah. And I'll be honest with you, I could produce 1,000 letters, I bet you right now, from people who say this is absolutely wrong. Give the guy his green card. Let him stay. And I don't mean this facetiously at all. I don't mean this to be crass. The reality is USCIS does not care one lick that you think I should stay. They don't care. They don't care. I had a senator for the state of Michigan write a personal handwritten letter to USCIS saying, you absolutely need to keep this guy in my state. Within 24 hours, we had a letter back saying, we don't care. No. Letters don't do anything. Yeah, literally, they threw right in the garbage. They don't care. They want to know, did you pay? Are you saying what you say you're doing? Do you have the money to sustain yourself? You know, in Auckland, we talked about that this morning, you know, and I don't know if you were part of the conversation earlier where my friend said, you know, if he got a hold of this, I think he'd make this a story because he's big on immigration. The right type of immigration, not illegal immigration. He hates illegal immigration, obviously. The wall. But he's for correct legal immigration. And I think that if his people got a hold of it, I think it would help. But it's not a story you can't write this story in a tweet. You know, and we were talking this morning about, you know, if we had somebody write a letter, the congressman bring a letter personally because he has access to the president. If we give him a letter to take to the president, well, it never gets right to the president. It goes to the president's people first, and then the bomb-sniffing dogs get it, and then the biological people get it. That takes 2 weeks, and literally you're probably a month and a half, 2 months before the letter ever gets in the president's hands. Am I saying not to do it? Absolutely not. I'm saying, yeah, if you want to do that, I mean, I would absolutely encourage you to do anything and everything within your scope and authority and power to do. If you feel so inclined to help. Tweet, write letters, phone calls, you know, put a message in a bottle, whatever you think's appropriate. And Morg Meme, I agree. They do need to be thrown in the garbage. Not the people. I get it. They're doing their jobs. I don't ever fault the person. Unless that person's saying, you're lucky I don't put my gun to your head. That person needs to be fired. 100%. They're not a good person. And I don't, for those of you that don't know, that actually happened to me. An immigration person said because I didn't tell them my life story instantly when I got to the border. The guy threatened to put a gun to my head in front of my young son who was now sobbing in the backseat. So yeah, I mean, if you are so inclined, whomever it may be, I would love to have a world stand on end and say, we advocate for the students at Rise Above and for that staff. Because honestly, that's what it comes down to, right? I want you to understand, I don't want you to advocate for me. You're not advocating so that I get a green card and that I can have a job and feed my family. Honestly, I don't want you to advocate for that. I want you to advocate on behalf of me because you want Rise Above to continue. Because you want students to have a hope and a future. Because you want another student to come to my house one day, sit on my couch and say, Mr. Fernandez, tell me something good. You know? Truth is, I'm 46 years old. I'll find a job. I mean, it'll take time. I'll find a job. I'm a big boy. You know, I have skills to do stuff. You know, my resume looks good. I'll find something. But at the end of the day, if this organization fails, I use the word catastrophic in my letter to the congressman. I firmly believe it'll be catastrophic to a lot of people. Yes, economically, but I mean socially. I think it'll literally drive people to prison. Literally drive people to prison. Yeah, not only current students, the students yet to come. I firmly believe that, and that's what I'm saying to you. I'm a person with great drive and ambition. Always have been. I do not give up easy. I will push when others say stop pushing. My students, not so much. They need somebody with great strength in their life to say, don't stop pushing. Even when others have given up. And that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking for you to support. When you donate, when you subscribe, when you tune in, when you participate in the chat, when you encourage me, thank you, all of you today, for doing that. You know, for those of you that are still here, that have endured the hour and 40 minutes of my rambling and whatever else you would call this nonsense. You do this in support of students and a tremendous staff that endures great hardship to make this happen. So thank you for all of your blessings today. Diablo, Morg, Crashing Adam, Dingle, Andy, all you guys. So a huge conundrum, justice over righteousness. What do I choose? How long do I wait? Oh, you know. At what point do I flick that switch and say, okay, this is what we're doing? So you're saying there's a way to email? Oh, nice. Yeah, that's definitely a quick way of doing it. Can you post, Morg? Can you post a link or something like that? If you can. If not, I'll look something up and maybe I'll throw it in Discord later on. Yeah, no worries. So we'll have, I'll keep you guys in the loop. Obviously, Discord will be a thing. I think if I do leave the country, if something happens, I'm going to take my studio with me if I do. Thank you, Morg Me. If I have to leave the country, I'm likely to take my stream PC from the studio here and a monitor or something Everything's fairly modular, so it's although it's comprehensive and a lot to it, it's fairly modular, and I can pick it up and go pretty quickly if need be. So. Yeah, no problem. Pounding. Sorry, Mr. Pound Sign. I appreciate even just the thought, that you're listening to the conversation, that you've participated. It's odd, It's one of those weird life things that happens to folks once in a while, and thankfully it doesn't happen often to this degree to people, but the reality is it does happen. In case you're wondering, I'm eating M&Ms. Yeah, no problem, Tribal. It's not like I track your time here, buddy. But I will from now on. I'm just kidding. I won't. I'm eating M&Ms because my mouth gets dry, and this stops me from getting dry mouth. So I will be. I'll continue to stream as long as I can. I do want to have another conversation. Better be on your best behavior then. Dang straight. Brother lifts weights. Oh, speaking of lifting weights, I got to tell you a story here about my son, who's awesome, by the way. Little father bias. It's okay. So I will continue to stream. I'm going to have a full conversation on justice and righteousness separate from this immigration BS. Just because I think it's a good topic. I'm going to talk about it quite in depth. I'm going to look at the philosophical side of things. We'll probably end up watching a YouTube video together that I think is a good introduction to the philosophical side of justice that I think holds some merit and value. Do I agree with all of it? No, but I'm okay with that. I talk about things all the time that I don't fully agree with, so why not? But I want to explore ways to look at those things in your own lives, as you go day to day, particularly when it comes to parenting and things of that nature, how to talk to your kids about justice and righteousness, because it gets construed all the time, particularly justice, because it's social justice is so powerful right now, and I'm in a world where social justice is, it's the thing, Oh, you got to go and advocate for these kids, and we do all the time. But the reality is that's not the real issue. It's not the real issue. The real issue is the kid brought a gun to school. Why the hell the kid? It has nothing to do with social justice. Why the kid brought a gun to school? If you sit down and truly think about it, and I do every day, and I sit down and talk about it with the kids every day, it has nothing to do with social justice. But social justice is the medium that is currently being used by people because of social media, Twitter, Twitch, to get the word out. That's what social justice is. It's a public platform with which to execute a plan.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Everything's great.
Nappy, I'm so glad you
is
made it, buddy.
awesome.
Nappy, you're one of the ones I want to publicly thank. Why do I put up with this? You're one of the ones I want to publicly thank, Nappy, for your kind words on the phone, for being there as someone that I can call at a moment to say, hey, I need your ear. I need to vent. I need to talk. I need to,
Okay.
get stuff out.
great.
You're always there,
Everything
and I appreciate it.
It's awesome.
Huge, man. Nappy, to say that, you say people all the time, oh, I love you, man, whatever the case is, but I can tell you, Nappy, you truly are one of the top-notch guys that I know, and thank you for being there. Not just the past week, but for quite some time. You've been a rock star through this. Mr. Kelp-Brenny, good sir. You are as well one of the good ones. Thank you for 8 months. Welcome back to the gym. You are a legend. How's the Pokemon journey going there, Mr. Brenny? Well, if you're ever traveling to where I am, let me know. Bring the family in. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Morg, without letting the whole cat out of the bag, you don't know how much it kills me that we were literally a quarter of a mile away from each other 3 weeks ago. Literally a quarter mile away from each other 3 weeks ago. And we didn't even know it. I was so, when you told me, I was so upset that we did not sit down and have dinner. Literally, we ate dinner in that hotel you were in. My family and I, when you were in that hotel. It almost makes me want to cry thinking of it, that I missed that opportunity. What in the actual hell? And Nappy, I do know, buddy. I absolutely know it. You've done nothing but demonstrate it to me time and time again. And I thank you for that, brother. Brenny, how's it going? It's been absolute shite, my friend. I've been AWOL for a couple of weeks, and I apologize. I'm going through some crazy immigration stuff. I almost swore. Stuff right now. And it's a long story. Yeah, if you want to, we can talk. You watch the VOD. How about that? I've been talking about it for 2 hours, for crying out loud. Watch the damn VOD. I'm glad you're here, Brenny. Very much so. Nappy, don't you have like appointments today, like chiropractic appointments and stuff you got to be to? Why are you here, man? Can I come for dinner? If you need an ear, yeah, man, absolutely. You said I missed your thing here, which say it's going well. Had some downtime recently, not playing as much. Gotcha. So is your work back up and going 100%, Brenny, too? No, I'm not trying to get rid of you. I'm just trying to understand why the hell you're here. I'll tell you right now. As Biden says, you want to get down and do some push-ups right now? Come on, we'll get down. That's too funny. Oh, that's awesome. Good. I wasn't sure whether you were part of that whole mess too or whatever was going on over there. And I know it's good to hear that Andy's back to work. I know he really needed it. Push-ups for gains, 20,000. Morg meme. Why you got to hurt me like that? How many push-ups does that say I have to do? I don't even remember. Morg meme, how many push-ups is that? Push-ups for gains. I'll do the push-ups. This poor salmon shirt, I should say, is going to be all sweat stained in 2 seconds now because Morgan Meme's going to make me do push-ups. 20 push-ups? Okay, let's get some push-ups in. Dono cam. I might have to adjust the camera, so give me a second. Let's see. Oh, it's looking at a wall right now, so I'm going to have to transition it down. For those of you that don't know, I've added a third camera and third microphone in here so we can change the dynamic of the stream. So we can go from just having 2 people in here, a guy across from me, a girl across from me, whatever the case is, to now I can have a third person here and with a camera and a mic. It's going to be freaking amazing. Great things are yet to come, so be ready for that. Okay, so let's go to Dono cam, and or in Morg's case, the push-up cam for the redeeming of the coins. But I'll have to adjust the camera, so bear with me. Perfect. See the microphone? There. Almost got it. Almost got it. All right, let me see if I can get some push-ups in for you, monkey heads. Ugh. Old man, and I'll do them close grip too, really close. And because I ain't cheap, I gave Morg Meme 30. Diablo, how many you get? None. Did this from Morg Meme. What a good jerk, Morg. Gotta use your points. Yeah, actually, Dono Cam is actually going to the wayside, I think. It's a little unprofessional, don't you think? Just kidding. You did 3 push-ups the other day. You were very proud. Might just cry. Yeah, I mean, I do push-ups every day, so it doesn't affect me a whole lot to do a lot of push-ups. Diablo, you get all the push-ups, buddy. Don't worry about it. You throw a number in there, I'll do it for you. All the push-ups. 0. I think you're supposed to put other numbers in front of that 0. I'm getting there. Shredded the weight. Nice. You know, and Brenny, that's the big... that's the hardest thing, eh? It's just losing that initial poundage. For me, that was the hardest thing initially. Shedding the weight, and then once I got the weight off, just getting a steady regiment of lifting weights was good. That actually felt really good. That's my first bit of exercise for the day. I changed my routine. So let's shift gears so I don't feel all poopy all day long. Morgan, actually, that was the best thing you could have done for me, was give her those push-ups. Because I tell you guys right now, if it wasn't for the gym, I'm thankful for the gym. Put it that way. It is a huge stress reliever. For those of you that, if you lead a stressed life, learn to appreciate the gym. You've never been a jerk meme anymore, Morg. You're always a rock star. The gym is literally saving my life. You know, it relieves stress. I have great social friendships there that I get to go into the gym and, you know, joke around with these guys, throw weights around, push and pull heavy things, you know. Endorphins, yeah. I'm telling you, it is a huge... I hug my gym owner and his wife weekly and tell them how much I appreciate them owning this business and allowing me to... Nappy, not sure about that. Allowing me to come into the gym to work out when all of the gyms are closed. They know what we do. They know the stress that I'm under. And honestly, weightlifting is not about appearance for me, although it obviously affects my appearance. Weightlifting is a stress reliever. It keeps me breathing, to say the least. But Morg is definitely a cutie. Nappy? Dude? We have to have a conversation, you and I. He skips leg day. So this is what I was saying. So my routine, I have, in all transparency, I have for my entire life of being in the gym, which has been since I was a teenager, I have hated leg day with a passion. I find every excuse under the sun to skip it. True story. Now for the past year, I have been extremely disciplined with leg day. To the point now we're starting today. Today is the first day. I've actually implemented a second day of legs in my weekly routine. Ugh, I almost vomited. It's gonna suck. One day of legs alone. Can't do it. And I'm gonna add a second day just to punish myself a little bit. I have never had like an overly developed set of legs. So I just decided at 46, I'm going to give it the old college try. Better late than never, I guess. Why not? So, yeah, it's honest. All joking aside, it's to help my son. So what's happened in the past? I guess it's been 5 weeks now, 4 weeks. My youngest son has started coming to the gym with me. He actually works out with me now every day, and the little bugger, he's looking good. He's, like the veins are showing up in his arms, and I'm like, what is with this kid? He's been at this 4 weeks, but he's there 5 days a week. He's there every day with me, the same amount of time I'm there. And if he's working out with me, I'm giving her. Diablo, bro, thank you. Thank you very much. Good luck with lunch and groceries, but bro, I'm telling you right now, you are a huge blessing to me, brother. Thank you very much for the gift today. Thank you for caring that much about what we do here and about the situation I'm in. Thank you, Diablo. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, he's doing well. And so, because he's a soccer player and wants obviously a scholarship for university and whatever else, he wants to get a little bigger and he wants to be stronger, obviously. And so I said, come to the gym, whatever. And well, we did legs. We've been doing legs now for a couple of weeks, and he's a strong kid, but he said that, I really love leg days. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, don't comment. And then I commented and said, why don't we add another leg day? And I'm like, damn it, I commented. And so here we are. We're starting this frickin' second leg day. You're going to see me crawling into the studio every week from here on out. It's going to be horrible. Going to be horrible. But my son's going to be a killer soccer player, and that's all I care about. That's all he cares about, I should say. He wants to be stronger than his brother. Leg day equals best day. Morg, I'll be honest with you, I am very proud of my kids. I hope my daughter is here to hear this too. I don't always agree with her philosophy on life and stuff like that. I love her to death. I love her creativeness. She's a beautiful girl to boot. She chose a great husband. My oldest son drives me crazy because he's a talker. He's very philosophical, loves politics. He's going to be a great, great man in this world, I believe. And now he's got himself a beautiful little girlfriend. I'm so proud of him. I think, he is going to do remarkable things with his ambition. And then Asher, who most of you guys know or have seen on stream with me at least once, he has a heart unlike any other that I know. And that kid will love the buttons off of a baby lamb. I tell you, that kid is just incredible. And he is going to grow up to be a tremendous, probably man of God, but also just a tremendous person with the power to influence, because he's just, you just can't help but love him when you see him. He bullied you in Minecraft. Don't trust him. When you had a personal channel, the only time he pushed me was on leg day. Really? I tend not to push on leg day because I hate leg day so much. I push every other day. Like when I do personal training with the police officers and stuff that I work with. I tend to let the guys off the hook on leg day. Just because I don't want to have to then get under it and go, this is how you do it. Here, let me show you what's going on. But yeah, no, Asher's going to be, he's going to be a great kid. A great young man. I'm sure he'll do well as well. But thank you, Morgme, for saying so. So I want you guys, as we look towards the end for today, I want you guys to start thinking about justice and righteousness for next week. Let me check my calendar and make sure I got no conflicts for next week because I don't want to promise next week. Well, let me say this. If next week, Monday, is an issue, I will stream another day, 100%. And it looks like Monday is open. I got to be in in the morning anyways.
Okay.
Or in the evening, I should say, for
Everything's great.
a board
Everything
meeting.
is awesome.
But I've got a couple of meetings later in the week, but not a big deal. So, oh, Uncle Jim the Tank, 12 months. Woo! Welcome back, Uncle Jim. Happy birthday. 1 whole year, buddy. I cannot believe. You know what? I'm coming up on 2 years of streaming. You guys believe that? It doesn't feel like two. It feels like I keep thinking I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary. I'm coming up on 2 years of streaming. Nappy, how long have you been streaming now? Because you created, well, because you got to be 2 years too, ain't Nappy? 13 months. Oh, you've been on Twitch for 2 years. You have been streaming for 13 months. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I think November I'm 2 years. Is what it works out to. Hey, buddy, can't stay long, but wanted to stop by and tell you. Okay. Thanks, Uncle Jim. You gotta love your Uncle Jim. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you stopping in. Next week, like I said, topic will be justice and righteousness. We're gonna go. This is gonna be a deep dive. This is not gonna be this Neil's personal problems conversation we had today. But we're going to do a deep dive into the philosophical understanding of justice and righteousness. I'm going to talk to you about moral law a little bit. And in particular, the idea of a moral lawgiver. It's not necessarily going to be a faith conversation, although there will be a faith conversation. I'm not going to lie. There's absolutely going to be a conversation about faith in there. What does Batman... Justice. That's awesome. Okay, we'll have to... Uncle Jim, you got to be here next week for the conversation so you can throw that out. Maybe we'll make maybe we will right now. So that's going to be the stream title for next week. What does Batman order at the bar? And then that'll be the joke. And then the stream topic under my name will be justice for next week. That's awesome. Thank you, Uncle Jim, for the stream title. I'll do my best to remember. That's so freaking perfect. It is amazing. Thank you. So yeah, we'll do a deep dive next week into what is justice? How does it implicate itself in our lives? How do we respond to it? How are we not to respond to it? Is it always one way? Is it linear? Does it have somebody suggested earlier the idea that there is a time and space for certain justice, and that laws sometimes, from a legal standpoint, because there's criminal justice, there's all types of justice, right? Are there some laws that we're supposed to follow, and there's some laws that are okay to ignore? I mean, there's literally a million questions we could ask with justice. But then the justice conversation inevitably will bring us around to this conversation of righteousness. Because when we think of somebody who follows the law, somebody who acknowledges the need for justice, and someone who performs and or helps to enforce justice, we tend to consider that person to be a righteous person, because we assume if you're an enforcer or somebody who helps to create the law, that you must in some way then be pure, or somebody who is upstanding or righteous. You follow what I'm saying? You tracking with me, people? So that'll be the kind of mode. I enforce the law on the streams. No nappy allowed. Well, Nappy, it's been good knowing you, buddy. Appreciate you stopping in. Been the best 13 months ever. But that'll be kind of the mode for the next couple weeks. I will be here for at least 2 more weeks before I finally cart my sorry butt out of this country if so needed. I am confident that we'll come out the other side of this in a good place. So I do diligently ask you to continue to pray that this have a favorable outcome. Whatever that favorable is, I'm telling you right now, favorable might not mean we stay in this country, right? There might be something amazing on the other side waiting for us that we have yet to understand. It might be that I stay in this country, but I tell you, little side note here on the whole idea of staying in this country. I feel very firmly now. It has slowly crept into my being. The idea that I think the next iteration of my being here in the U.S. is being a pure advocate, somebody who chases after legal reform for not only our students, but for situations like this, for those who find themselves in these situations. I do believe that at some level, what's the phrase I want to use here? My tongue will be unleashed, that I will not be as conservative in my speech as I have been with regards to speaking publicly on the behalf of others. I tend to be restrained currently with my political figures, with my justice influencers. I tend to say just enough to affect change, but not enough to make people super uncomfortable. And I believe that my next step soon will be to make people uncomfortable, make decision makers uncomfortable, and to insist that change be made on behalf of others. So stay tuned. More to come. I think we're there. We're 2 hours 20 minutes in, 2.5 hours ish in. I think you've heard enough of my for today. I will be back. I promise you. Depending how my week goes, I might actually come back this week. Might play some Rainbow Six Siege or some other new game that I got. I got some new games. I got BioShock Remastered and some other stuff I've been dying to play, and maybe I'll play it on stream. I got nothing going on, just some cleaning of the building. Thank you, Tribal. I appreciate that, buddy. But just know that there's a lot going on, and I appreciate your patience over the past couple of weeks in getting back to where we are today and having a live conversation about, the work and how we can help each other. But the next step is going to be getting back to normal. Summer break's over, vacations are over. I'm going to just ignore the rest of the immigration thing. It's completely out of my control. There's nothing else I can do. All the paperwork's been submitted. All the crying's been done. Now it's just back to, we just got to get to her. And that's what we're going to do. And like I said, we're going to have this conversation about justice and righteousness. And we're going to get back to the business of affecting people's lives for good and getting students back into a direction. Know this. Mark, I'm telling you, we got to just stop talking about that because I'm going to cry next time we have this conversation because we were that close, Mark. Not even this close. We were that close. How awesome would it have been for me to buy you dinner, you and your lovely man, Patrick, dinner to celebrate your wedding. I'm so mad at myself. I got to start telling people where I'm going. Anyways, and know that students are coming back to buy all of us dinner. Are coming back to school not next week, but the week after. So we're close to having our students back in-house. Summer vacation is over. Staff return next Monday for preparations here at Rise Above. So we have a lot of work and meetings to do there to get all of the things going. My lovely wife is downstairs cleaning carpets as we speak. And we're excited what the next couple of weeks is going to bring and the fact that we get to have our students back in-house. It's been a long time since I've headlocked and wedgied a kid, so I'm pretty excited for it. It's good times. It's good times. thank you all. Thank you for everyone who resubbed. Thank you for everyone who gifted subs and created an automatic level 5 hype train. I think Diablo, that was entirely his fault. But I appreciate all of you. One of the things I do want to talk about, I think, Morgan, you're kind of getting at it right now. I meant to mention it earlier and I completely forgot. I'm going to update our Amazon wish list because we do need things like sanitizers and wipes and whatnot for the kiddos. We will be doing that kind of stuff, masks, things of that nature. Yes, that is the Amazon link. Let me just click it, make sure it still is working properly. And yes, it is. So there are some things in there that I think we don't need anymore, but I'll update it today. I'll get some new things in there like that. But yeah, if you're so inclined to click on that link and to send some stuff our way on behalf of the students, that'd be great. Yeah, I'll definitely get that updated today. But yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate everyone again. Diablo, thanks for the amazing bits. Crashing Adam for bits. Diablo, Morg, Meme, who else? Freaking Diablo, that's incredible, man. 10,000 bits. Everyone who resubbed, you guys are all amazing for the new follows today. We had a few new follows. I think it does. I think it does, Tribal. I've had, I know I've had other people from Europe send me stuff before, so I'm not sure if they did it through this link or not, but I'm pretty sure that they did. I think Brenny was one of them. So, but thank you all. I will be back next Monday, 100%. And if I'm not, I will make it up to you earlier, not later. So thank you all very much. Know that, as I always do, I pray for a lot of you guys regularly. And don't ever hesitate to reach out to me through Twitter, through Discord, or if you see me in stream through private message or otherwise, reach out to me if you need help with anything. Conversations, advice, literally anything, financial. I would love to support any and all of you in any way that I am able to do so, as I know that you guys do for my students. So thank you all as we go forward. Stay tuned. I will keep you informed as I know more. Okay? I'm not just going to suddenly vanish on you. It will be with cause and with full effect. I can assure you of that. All right, guys. Take it easy. Love y'all. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for letting me vent. Appreciate you. Ciao for now.